Hi, I'm Tavish Carduff, and I am here to talk a little about the design and concept of our raw material. A few years ago, I woke up from a couple of dreams with the writer Thomas Paine on my mind. And he wrote Common Sense, a pamphlet that was widely distributed in favor of us becoming an independent country here in the United States. And I liked his writing. He wrote some really cool stuff. But the biggest piece that occurred to me was the idea of common sense and how, as a human race, we just truly don't have it. So my mind started reeling around that. It started narrowing down to the most simple tools we have. What do we have in common? Water, at least most of us. Our breath, and our ability to take breathing beyond an involuntary action into something that we actually do with intention. And alignment. Falling under alignment are so many different things, but for these purposes, an order of emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, just to cover all of our states of being and see what I could do to get us balanced. I thought about nature and the system that is already in place with the solstice and the equinox and starting over with the seasons every year. So what if we had a little 12-week thinking program where we started over 4 times a year, same 12 subjects, starting over 4 times a year. And as I've cycled through these a few times now, the richness and the deepness of my thought and my relationship to my own wholeness has become deeper and stronger and allowed me a whole lot of space for understanding and the ability to do some really cool work, healing work and astrology work during this 2020 that we're facing. So, the intentions around our raw material are to, number 1, increase your self-knowledge and understanding. Number 2, to broaden your perspective so that you're in a position to support and understand and accept. How about support and accept? Support and accept the people around you. I don't know that we can always understand. And then 3rd, to really encourage wholeness, our own, and to look at other people's experience as part of their wholeness and be able to look at the entire piece of material of why somebody does, says, acts the way that they do based on the things in their life, not what we know from our own lives. The other thing that's important to understand in this development is the concept of ego energy and soul energy. And let me start by saying we each have both ego and soul included in these human bodies, and we can go back and forth all day long in which one we're using at any given time. So becoming aware of which of these energies we're working with becomes really important on knowing whether we're just reacting to something or whether we are engaged in something that affects us at a deep core level. When I try to break down the concepts of ego and soul, I realize that they share components. And when I talk about them, I use the same concepts for each of them. So they each have a component of energy. I talk about ego energy and I talk about soul energy, and whether I'm using one or the other at any given time. There's also a scale where we're managing our ego soul spectrum. And as divided as we are in this country on so many issues, it's an easy way to look at where we fall and where somebody else falls. If we're defending a lot more personal rights and beliefs and things around our personal body and being, those are more ego-centered energies. If we are looking out for the collective or the greater good, those tend to be a little more soul-centered energies. But before we go assigning good to soul and bad to ego, the flip side can look a little callous. If we look at the pandemic itself, from an ego standpoint, we are concerned about the people that we care about and the people that we love, and each individual of these tallies that we keep watching go up. Every single one of those people have a name and a story and people who love them, and our egos get attached to those. The sole view of the pandemic is more natural evolution. So where the ego attaches to the individual person, the soul is more looking at the development of the collective whole. So in the soul perspective, it's as if the earth itself is shaking off excess energy, and we are losing a huge portion of our people, not from a personal perspective, but from a broader evolutionary perspective. So it's important to recognize the difference between the soul energy, the ego energy, which scale we're operating on, and then know that each of those energies, soul and ego, is a protector in some way of our body, of our personality, of our belief system, of our intentions in the world. So at different times, our ego is going to step up to protect us, or our soul is going to step up to protect us, and recognizing that both of those energies are operating within each of us, no matter who we are, will go a long way towards helping us understand where somebody else is, so that rather than asking, why does this person think or do what they do, we can accept it, maybe give some reasons around it, but does it really matter whether we understand why they do what they do? It's more being able to accept it and find somewhere to work from there, rather than being stuck in the inability to accept where somebody else is sitting. It doesn't make it easier, but it certainly makes it more pleasant, and it allows us to become less ignorant as we gain more knowledge. So, to recap, our raw material is a natural thought process that will hopefully build self-understanding and the ability to accept each other as we navigate this very vivid 2020 and beyond. You can check us out at ourrawmaterial.com, where we have some meditations that we created as we were building this. They are very raw, but also pretty cool. And we have some writing prompts or thought prompts if you don't want to write it down. But at least the first week, the mentors exercise, give it a shot at writing. It's a fun one, and it will lead you on a journey to self-discovery that I can't wait to hear about. Come back and visit often, subscribe, like us, tell your friends, whatever you need to do. Hopefully we will see you again as we all practice getting to know our raw material.